They say that there is a first time for everything. Well, I've got a story for you this week. That's coming up soon. Also, we have we're visiting our fall maintenance checklist because it is fall. We're going to check up on that we cover every year. And finally, what markets out there are taking the biggest hit with the rising interest rates? We have a story from Redfin. We're going to see if your market is on that list. That's all coming up in about 1 minute on the Home Pros Radio Show.
The Home Pros Radio Show. Brought to you by Prime Lending. Home loans made simple. Welcome to the Home Pros Radio Show, the premier resource for the well-informed homeowner. With over 30 years of combined home inspection and renovation experience, your hosts, Tommy Donovan and Shane Hips, help you stay on top of your home improvement and home maintenance needs. Visit homeprosradio.com to access the trusted product and service providers that are a part of our Home Pros network. Find the Home Pros Radio Show on Facebook and Twitter for regular show updates and additional information on the topics covered on our show. To join the conversation, call 248-HOME-PROS. And now, your Home Pros, Tommy Donovan and Shane Hips.
And welcome to the Home Pros Radio Show. I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections.
And I'm Shane Hips with Closing Contractor.
Welcome aboard the show this week. We've got a lot to talk about with home improvement, home maintenance. It is officially fall.
Officially.
The air has officially gotten chilly cold.
Yes, and it's dark in the mornings when I leave the house now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And
I'm just not used to turning my headlights on because I don't usually drive at night that much or later on, so I'm not used to turning them on. I'm always I was going to say, I'm afraid I'm going to forget to turn them off, but obviously all the cars naturally turn their cars off now, or turn their lights off, you know. But I'm still paranoid about leaving my lights on at this time of year because I'm just not used to having to turn them on. But
yeah.
Because I'm afraid I'm going to go out there and my battery's going to be dead.
Oh, there have been plenty of times that's happened to me.
Yeah.
There was one time I pulled up to a home inspection.
Yep.
Downtown.
Yep.
Pulled right up, parallel parked right by this condo complex I was supposed to inspect in. Mm-hmm. And I pull up, get all my stuff out of the car, go on in, do the inspection. Then I come back down 2 hours later after the inspection's over, start loading my car. I'm like, where are my keys? And not only did I leave my keys in the ignition, but the car was still running.
I was sitting here thinking, please tell me you didn't leave it running.
I totally did. It was just waiting for somebody to drive off with it.
Were the doors locked?
No.
Okay,
the doors were not locked.
So at least you could get in.
But still.
You are so dumb.
Yeah, that was really dumb.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, my car is one of those where if the key's in the ignition, you can't lock the doors.
You. Yeah. One of my technicians left one of my trucks running in a Home Depot parking lot. It's been maybe 2 months. I'm surprised I didn't mention it because it was quite exciting. Left one of my trucks running in the parking lot and with the door locked. I don't know how he managed to do it. He told me, but I can't remember the details. But somehow he left the truck running in the parking lot of a Home Depot.
Yeah.
And with the doors locked. So I had to round up the spare key to go up there so he could open the door.
It's a good thing you had a spare key, though.
Yeah. By the time I got there, he managed to get in. He somehow figured out. But it ran for a couple hours, 2-3 hours, because he didn't even know till he got back out of the store. And then he's calling me, and I'm nowhere near there. So, it's quite a bit of running around that day. But, yeah, and he was afraid he wasn't going to ever live it down, but I haven't really messed with him much about it. But I'd forgotten about it till you just said that. But
yeah, That was how long ago?
It's probably a month to 2 months ago.
I remember one time I pulled up at a convenience store, and my daughter was. I probably shouldn't even admit I did this.
Just keep it a secret.
She was probably 4. She was still in the car seat. She was in the back, and I pulled up to the convenience store, and. I turned the car. I'm pretty sure I turned the car off.
Okay.
Somehow the keys were still in the car. Maybe I did leave it running. And I looked out and said, I'm going to be right back. And so I hopped out, went inside, got something. I was probably in for like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I forget what I was buying.
Probably some gator gum.
Yeah, right. Shoot, we were talking about that before the show. Y'all remember Gatorade gum? Ooh, that was great, wasn't it? We
It
Pop one of those
replenished
in.
all your electrolytes over and over and over again, right?
God. Pop one of those in for a soccer game. We think, oh, I'm not going to get thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't really
So-
work out that way, did it?
But anyway, I ran inside. While I was only in for a couple of minutes, but while I was inside, my daughter, she's the Houdini of car seats. Even when we were driving down the road, she'd just take it right off and just start climbing over the seats. I remember other drivers yelling at me, "Get her back in the seat!" Right? And I'm thinking, as soon as I get from this red light, I'll pull over. But geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what she happened to do in this case is unlatch the car seat, climb over into the driver's seat, and lock the doors.
Oh, okay.
But she was not. No, she had to have been younger than 4 because she wasn't old enough to take direction. So I came out of the store and I was like, "Oh," she locked the door. So I was like up against the glass going, "Push the button right here. Push this button." And everybody's watching what's going on. And next thing you know, there's a crowd of people around the car and I'm looking like a complete jerk.
Everybody's trying to cheer you on or give their input on it. Well, try this. Try this.
Yeah. So she was like, "Huh?" But she got it. But, oh, man, was that embarrassing. Even more embarrassing is that it was like right around the corner. It was like the convenience store right around the corner from our house.
So the one you go to all the time.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Well, you know what? Speaking of embarrassing moments, I figured I'd go ahead and admit to this. I made a call to Closing Contractor last Friday.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you know why? Because I made the classic home inspector mistake that I never thought I would ever make.
Yeah, yeah. Never
I
say never.
fell through a ceiling.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess you could call this
Photo from the
one
field.
of my photos from the field.
I know what I'm doing.
This is one of them.
See that?
So, yeah, I texted this photo to Shane on Friday, and I was like, "Look what I did."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Any way we can get this fixed?" I ended up taking care of it myself. But, yeah, I've got a picture of my leg that formed a nice, pretty bruise there. So, yeah, I don't know how it happened. These are trusses, 2 foot on center. So you have longer strides to get through the attic. And I was
Right.
working my way through the attic, which was full of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't care, folks, how confident you can be in an attic. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years, and I've always been like, I've never fell through a ceiling. That ain't never going to happen to me.
Right.
And
right.
it happened, just a simple slip of the foot. And
Yeah.
then the next thing I knew,
Did
everything
you,
was going down.
and here's the thing: Did you step on the truss first, and your foot slip off, or
Yes.
did you step directly on the drywall?
I stepped on the truss first because the way it happened was I was climbing through, and I really was going really slowly because the attic was full of stuff. Like
Right.
there's like you can see if you look in the hole. For those of you watching on our feed, for those of you listening to the podcast, I've got a photo behind us on the big TV, and to the right of the hole you can see there's a stack. This wood sticking out here, that's a stack of chairs,
I got you.
like lawn chairs that were up there, or I don't know, folding wood chairs. This HVAC duct that's in the ceiling, not even working. It's
Yeah.
not even part of the HVAC system.
I got you.
So it was something that the husband decided at one point, hey, you know what? The air conditioning will be more effective in the house if we run it up through the ceiling and supply the air through the ceiling. It'll make the rooms cooler than the ducts were in the floor.
Oh, okay.
So he had this huge plenum that he built out of plywood and ran ductwork.
Oh, gosh.
It's not connected to anything. So I was climbing over that stuff.
Right.
and- So to answer your question, I was literally, my foot, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly,
It looks different from top and the bottom. though.
yeah, it was on. You know how like the truss webbing will come down right in the middle. You
Yep.
see the gang nail, or what do they call them? The
plate?
The plate.
Yes. I can't think of the
Well.
first word, but the plate. Yes.
I remember sitting in a home inspection class once, and we were talking about trusses, and the instructor kept calling them gang nails,
Oh, okay.
which is, you can see it's a gang nail.
Okay.
And one of the the guy next to me goes, "Oh, I was in a gang nail once. Were those the days?" I was like, "Come on." That guy was hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, so my foot was right there where all the webbing and everything came together, and literally, I think what it was is I was actually. I was propped up, standing on the trusses, getting ready to take a picture of an open junction box. And my right foot, which is the one, that's my right leg, that bruise that you see there, just slipped right off of the truss.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind how, like, everything just fell so easily. I must have hit that piece of drywall in the right spot, and it just all boom.
Yeah, it doesn't take much once you hit that drywall.
Yeah. So, oh, man, I was so embarrassed. But the homeowner was cool about it.
Well, that's
I mean,
good.
she wasn't thrilled,
Yeah.
but at the same time, she was like, "Hey, stuff like this happens." Blah, blah, blah. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Well, that's good.
Well, the other thing that happened the one thing that made it kind of difficult was it was a single woman who had two of her daughters living with her. One of the daughters has a husband who is deployed.
Okay.
So she's living in this 3-bedroom, 1-bath house with them with 3 kids, and everyone was home when this happened. So,
They all got to see
oh my
it.
God! And the little baby, who was just a couple years old too, was she already didn't like me. Like, I'm a stranger in the house. But
Right,
when I
right,
went
right.
through the ceiling, woo!
She really didn't like that?
She cried and cried and cried, and which made me want to cry and cry. And so it was. Luckily, I had my assistant with me who helped me with the whole process, my wife. So
Yeah.
at least I didn't have to get on the phone and explain to her what happened.
Yeah, yeah. At least you got to see it.
So
huh?
that's why I called or texted you, and I was like, "Oh, how are you?" And you were like, "Well, yeah, we can fix that. I won't know until the first of the week."
Right, right.
And so I just decided, you know what, I could probably fix it faster than that. So I'm going to try to get back there. And so the good part is the next slide is a picture of me doing the work. Well, and that's me cutting
that's
the
you
hole
cutting all
open.
the hole out.
So I could get a piece up there.
Yep.
So there I am, actually using my handiwork, my drywalling skills.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
You need a side gig?
Finishing it off. I love doing drywall.
Do you really?
This was kind of hard, though, because, well, the good thing is, well, I don't know. Are you good at doing drywall?
No.
Okay. Would you rather repair a ceiling that is smooth, or would you rather repair a ceiling that is textured?
Smooth.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
That's what
It's easier to
think.
match.
See? That's how I feel. I've got to match this texture, and I'm a little worried about how I'm
Matching
going to
the
do
texture is the hardest part.
it. Yeah?
Yeah.
But this texture.
This texture was easy, though.
It's more of a knockdown.
No.
No, this texture, there is no pattern. It's whatever it is at that.
Apparently, she had a friend of hers go up there with a paint roller
Yeah.
and just kind of really thin drywall mud
I got you.
and just kind of rolled it on there. So there's no real rhyme or reason to it.
I got you.
So that's the good thing. If it was like a formal popcorn finish, then I'd probably, or a stamp or something like that, then I'd
Right.
be worried.
Yeah. Well, if it's an easy texture to match,
I'm gonna try.
maybe you're in luck.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
There's no matching. It's all different.
I'm glad. Thank you for your confidence there. So we're gonna. So that's what the lower right hand corner. That's how the picture. That's how the ceiling looks now.
I got you.
So now I got to go back tomorrow, probably Friday, to go back and match the
Yeah.
texture after all that.
You didn't put the register back in.
No, I didn't. We had that conversation.
It's
too.
like, okay, do you
I
want
was
it
like,
back although it's not doing anything?
Thankfully enough, I finished the home inspection, and I'm like, ma'am, you have ductwork in your ceiling that and
Doesn't go to anything?
And she just laughed and bowed her head. She goes, "That's my ex-husband's handiwork. He thought that, also the stuff, that the air conditioning would work better if the air came through the ceiling." She already, like, when we got there, she apologized for a number of unfinished projects.
Oh, okay.
That her ex-husband had started.
Uh-huh.
So me falling through the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the funny thing about it was her response was, "It figures," because she's, I guess, kind of used to. That's why she had such a good attitude about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting it done.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of nice, honestly. As a home inspector, we're not allowed. I get these questions a lot. Like people ask, "Hey, can you fix it for me or
Right.
whatever?" And we can't. If we do an inspection on a house, we can't do work on it because that
Right.
could, at least in our state, it's considered a conflict of interest and that sort of thing. So it's kind of nice doing work like that in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, though: when you do work, like when you do finishing or any type of work,
Right.
one of the things that I like when I'm doing it around the house is then sitting down and looking at it and going, "Wow,
Yeah.
I did that."
Yeah.
That must suck when you, like at Closing Contractor, where y'all do this amazing job, and then you got to leave it at the end of the day.
Right. Right. And you're talking about, do I enjoy drywall? I like well, obviously electrical was the first thing I did.
Yeah.
But I like doing things because I like to see my work. What is it? Instant gratification.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to.
The young
Fix
kids
it,
call it
fix it, and
satisfying. This is real satisfying.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and fix it and get it where I don't want to have to mess with it, then come back again and then mess with it again. Yes, it does look good at the end, but it's not quick enough for me.
It's a process.
yeah,
Like this was hard for me to leave.
Right.
When I got to that point, I wanted to keep getting it done.
Yeah, yeah.
It was hard
Yeah.
for me to like put it down and
Yep. I want to see the thing, see whatever it is work or whatever, and I just like the quicker in and out.
Yeah.
Stuff, that's just the way my mind works, I guess.
that makes sense. Yeah.
So.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to be talking about. We're going to switch gears. We're going to go to the outside. This is the time of year, like I mentioned before, that we're going to talk about the fall maintenance checklist. And I've got a fun story
Okay.
about a simple repair that comes up on home inspection reports all the time. But did you know that? And it's it's regarding gutters.
Okay.
Which is on our fall maintenance checklist. But are you aware of the issues that could be created in your home or on your home if those gutters aren't working just right?
Oh yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back. You won't want to miss this after this on the Home Pros Radio Show. If you're a home service provider who takes pride in your work and strives to be recognized as a trustworthy professional in your industry, the Home Pros Radio Show wants to hear from you.
Become a Home Pros Radio Show partner. Send us an email at ask@homeprosradio.com.
Your Home Pros Radio Show Expo listing and your featured appearances on our podcast are just the beginning when it comes to the ways that we can help brand your business on the Home Pros Radio Show.
It's a great opportunity. It's just an email away. Ask@homeprosradio.com.
One of the Home Pros Radio Show partners that makes this show possible is Carolina Heating Service. We'd like to invite you to give them a call. They are a near you company. And when your heating and air system breaks down, it usually happens right when you need it, does it not?
Oh yeah, it's always the worst times.
And that's why Carolina Heating Service came up with the Carolina Comfort Club, where there are two ways to be a member. You have the Comfort Plan and the Comfort Plus Plan. Whichever plan you have, they'll come out to your house at least a couple times a year and make sure everything's running right. At the start of the heating season, at the start of the cooling season, to make sure that you're not hit with any of those
Unforeseen.
inconvenient situations that could pop up with your heating and air system. So give them a call. Here's the number. It's 800-261-0359. You can also find them online at carolinaheating.com. It's Carolina Heating Service. They're a near you company. Thank you for watching the Home Pros Radio Show. And, of course, our show is brought to you from the studios of Prime Lending. It's our Prime Lending studio, right?
They're the big title sponsor.
Yeah, and all of this talk about building and maintaining your home doesn't mean much if you don't have the funding to make it happen. And that's why we like to invite you to call Prime Lending. They got offices all around the country for you. But if you're right here in the South Carolina area, give Mark Hawkins a call. Here's his number. It's 864-349-0160. When it comes to getting the funding you need, Prime Lending makes the process easy and personal. Websites and 800 numbers, man, they can lend you money, but are they going to sit down with you face-to-face and actually give you the products that you need? Because there's so many options.
There's something to be said to be face-to-face with someone instead of just talking to them over the phone or emails or whatever. Yeah, something to be said for that.
Absolutely. So give Prime Lending a call if you're remodeling your home, you're purchasing your dream home, or just need a cash-out refinance. That's another option that they can help you out with and sit down with you face-to-face. 864-349-0160. If you're in upstate South Carolina or South Carolina area, period, give Mark Hawkins a call. And wherever you are in the country, there's a Prime Lending office near you. Of course, with Prime Lending, buying and refinancing your home is simple, fast,
and hassle-free.
That's it. And we're back on the Home Pros Radio Show. I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections, and I fix stuff.
No, you don't.
And
oh,
find stuff.
That's right. You do. And I'm saying it. Well, technically, I guess I find stuff and fix stuff.
There you go. I'm saying that because we were just talking about the drywall repair I had to make because Dopey here actually went through his customer ceiling for the first time. And, I got real confident that was never going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
That was my badge of honor, and I've lost it. I actually slipped. And
yeah. Now when that conversation, that water cooler conversation happens, you have to join in. Say, yep, I did it once too.
Yeah. And there's, what's silly about that, too, is there's that part of you. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's human nature or what. But there's that part of you that wants to say, it wasn't my fault. Because there's that part of me that wanted to go, well, ma'am, if you didn't have so much stuff in your attic. But,
Yeah.
I've been through a lot worse and made it through without it. But
yeah,
it just happened to happen that time. And but yeah. So, and then I went back and I've been doing the work. And, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I asked you, like, how much would it cost to do the repair? Because I was weighing, like, would I be better off doing home inspections now and just hiring somebody?
Yeah, and that's
that's the way I looked at it. When I went back to just do the repair, I figured rather than having you guys go out there and do the repair, I'm like, I'll just do it myself because I can get it done faster because I don't have anything on my schedule on Monday. I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And but then there was that part of me that was like, okay, if it's going to cost X amount of dollars to fix it, then I need to make sure I'm done within that amount of
Yes, you got to
time.
get it done. Whatever you think your hourly rate is, whatever your hourly rate is, you got to get it done in less than that.
So far we're doing pretty good.
You think you about on right now?
I was there for 4 hours.
And I guess it just depends on what you consider your value per hour.
There you go.
And I said it, didn't I?
Yeah.
I saw you looking down, so I knew I said it. But yeah, so that's what it all boils down to is whatever.
And it's the hardest part of the thing is it's like it's really funny because you think, oh, it's just a matter of cutting a hole.
Oh, I have homeowners tell me that every day.
Right?
I haven't said
and
to
I'm
me,
thinking,
it's just this.
I'll be in and out in a couple hours.
Uh-huh.
So I was there for 4 hours, and probably I would say for at least 2.5, it was a matter of cutting that hole out to make it a piece that I could securely put a new piece of drywall in it.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you had to make it bigger. Yeah. Actually, I stood there debating with my wife for a little bit we were debating on what if we just did 2 pieces. That way it's just here and then here. And I was like,
It's always easier just to cut.
just do one big piece.
If you could do it, do it.
Yeah.
Do a big piece. And that's one thing I absolutely, and I don't know if I've ever had this conversation with you, that's why I absolutely don't agree with Exactimate, which is the insurance, what insurance companies use whenever there's a damage or whatever, because it's based on like just the way it is weighted. Because let's say a hole this big and a hole this big, you get paid more for this big than this big, but those 2 repairs take the same amount of time.
Yeah.
They really will take the same amount of time.
That's a very good point.
You see what I mean? And it's just the way it's weighted, and because I don't use Xactimate, so it's hard for me to figure
Now,
things out.
Xactimate.
Xactimate, like
Exact-
estimate.
Oh, Xactimates, like estimate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it's
makes
the
sense.
software that the insurance companies use, like
Oh.
and the companies that like the roofing companies that work
So-
with them a lot. Because I don't do it, I don't figure jobs the same way.
So you could say, like, for example, you have a hole that needs to be fixed in a piece of drywall that's only like a 2 foot by 2 foot hole.
Say a hole up to 4x4, a hole up to
Okay.
24 by 24, just different.
That
things.
might be harder to fix, though, if you have a perfect 4 by 6 hole that you could show up with one sheet and put it in. You're
Right.
not having to fit
Yes,
it. And I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it just gets into, it's just the way you're trained, or you train your mind to figure things. I have a hard time using that software. I don't have the software, but I have a hard time going off of an insurance adjuster's quote on stuff like that and making it I mean, usually our prices are very similar, but if they ask me to break it down in the way they do it, that's not how I figure it out. I don't use the software, so it's not like I have the capability.
But you know
of
why
breaking
you
it
do
out in
that?
way.
But you know why you do that is because you're the one doing the repairs.
Right.
You're not just somebody showing up and go, oh, this is going to.
Right. And
You understand the process.
right. And I understand that the software does have a lot of thought and a lot of science into it. Like
They're
there's
looking
a
at
lot of
materials,
thought. There was a
material cost, and that sort of
material
thing.
costs, and they have the labor cost and all. I mean, it's all figured in. I just don't. I don't agree with the way it's weighted in
Yeah.
some ways.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's not. What they say is possible and what I say is possible aren't necessarily always the same thing. It's just the way it's just the way it is. I think their pricing on roofing is usually real good
Yeah.
because it's broken down into like so much to remove this, so much to do this, so much to cover this, so much. I mean, just there's
Yeah.
so many little line items that yes, you're going to do that stuff, but look at how small your price is to patch that hole because of all this other stuff. It just gets a little wonky to me. But what you're talking about, yes, it's always easier.
I just thought,
if they're
yeah.
all in the same area, it's easier just to cut the whole thing out and do it rather than sit there and try to patch all these different things together.
I
It
think
gets a little messy.
the hardest part for me was cutting that hole into a perfect rectangle. I was up there with a carpenter square, kind of, all right, I need to go across. I mean, it's one thing if I had to, two sides are easy because I just went from truss to truss.
Right.
But getting it perfect the other way was a challenge. And especially when you're upside down trying to do it, trying to get that cut just right. I mean, but yeah, I was surprised a couple hours into it. I'm like, I still haven't put the first piece. I hadn't put the drywall up yet.
People never realize how long it really takes. They think, okay, you just do this. No, it's not. It's like working on a freaking motor in your car or something. You always have to go get a tool or something. I mean, drywall, you have don't take that exact. I mean, that's not what I'm meaning. But there's always other things that set you back to do this or to do this. Drywall mud, you got so much dry time. You got so much sand time. There's so much that goes into that. And the actual work even takes longer than what you think when you just look at it. The actual work, not to mention the waiting time that you have between the working parts. It's
Come back the next day. You don't want to put that next coat on too soon.
Yep, you
That
make it
sort of
harder
thing.
on yourself if you start trying to do it too fast and all. You're going to end up making more work for yourself. You're going to have, like you say, you put too much mud on it. Now you got more sanding, which is actually worse than just doing the mud right the
Which
first
you don't
time.
want to do in a home that's lived in.
Yes.
Yeah. So I saw the dust start collecting, and I started panicking.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we need to be careful here. Lots of wet sanding. But yeah, that was. It's been a fun, interesting experience. Well, let's get us to this topic. Let's go outside for
Photo
this
from the
topic. Our
field.
photo from
What are you
the field
looking
this
at?
week.
I know what I'm doing.
Did you see that?
All right, so I had a client who moved into his brand new house.
Okay.
This is a house I inspected.
You didn't give him my number, did you? Or my...
Oh no.
I just read an email earlier today, and I didn't get through all of it, because we talked last week
Oh, I
about
gotcha.
my my problems at the office, trying to fill all the shoes and all the running around. But I read part of the email, and it said something about I left some leaves on my roof too long, and it started a leak, and now
Oh,
I've got this on.
gotcha.
So I was wondering if it could have been the same person, because it looks like this
Yeah.
had some leaves left on the roof too long.
Yeah,
probably.
that's well. I mean, this was a roof that was difficult to get on. That's a 2-story roof. It's a 100-year-old house that's had lots of additions put on it.
Yes.
And when that was done, as you can see, I kind of mentioned this last week. You got all these roof lines coming together. It's like, we always talk about the house as a system.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's great. It's a great idea to put a new bedroom up here and another bedroom up here and connect them with a bathroom here.
Yeah.
But have you thought about how those roof lines are going to connect?
Yeah.
And that created a headache for this homeowner, a headache that the previous owner had no idea. I honestly think had no idea was happening,
Right.
because they weren't getting up on the roof and cleaning the gutters. I wrote up on the home inspection report when I was there the day of the inspection. Luckily, I was able to see enough evidence without getting on the roof. This was not an accessible roof by any means during the home inspection.
Gotcha.
But there were just moisture stains coming down the side of the house and all these other places. So
Yeah.
I wrote up, hey, this gutter system needs to be fixed.
Right.
Because nothing's working effectively.
Uh-huh.
Well, the homeowner closed on the house and moved in. He goes up into the master bedroom where this right underneath. The master bedroom has a closet that was added onto it, and that's where this little flat roof area is with the composition.
Yeah.
The composition roof, the roll roofing is there, and there's huge. There was maybe a softball-sized leak stain on the. They had put in, you can get like this. It's like plywood version of. Do what? Cedar.
Yes.
Cedar plywood sheets.
Yes.
They had in their closet. So this cedar had this like softball size moisture
Stain on it.
stain. It had some mold in it. He's like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And I'm like, "Well, the only thing you can really do is get behind that, see what's happening." And this is something that everyone did not see that was at the home inspection when the house was lived in, because the master closet was full of stuff.
Yeah.
So now that it was empty, it was obvious. And so he pulls that away, and there's just nothing but mold growing on the drywall
gosh.
behind that.
Gotcha.
So he pulls that off, and luckily the framing behind that was fine. He paid, I think, too much to have a mold company come out there and do the cleaning. But I don't think that was necessary. Because the day I went back to help this guy out, he had a ladder up against the house, 2 stories up. So I climbed up there and took these pictures. That's what's causing it all.
Right. Yep. That'd be it.
That gutter has a downspout that's dropping directly onto that that flat roof, and the leaves are keeping the water from getting into the gutter below that.
Yep.
And a lot of it was going through that.
And just holding that water against that side, against that shake siding and on the roof, it just holds it. It's like it's like setting a wet sponge on something, and just letting it sit there. It's going to just keep soaking into it. It's a constant water supply.
Yep.
I mean, it saves it for it. So yeah, that's definitely a bad thing right there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where he was upset, and I was like, well, you saw in the report where I mentioned that the roof isn't draining right? Did you ask for that to be fixed? Because this stuff would have been discovered, or at least the source of the issue would have been discovered and taken care of. So, I guess the lesson learned here for us is, as a home buyer, if your home inspector is like, hey, clean and re-level the gutters, they are not working effectively, it's not just a matter of getting up on a ladder and scooping out the leaves with your hand. A lot of times you've got other things going on.
Yeah.
The runs may be too long before you hit a downspout. In this case, it's just the roof line was just a cluster.
They could be sloped the wrong way. Yeah, I mean, how many times do you see the corner that's dripping water because the gutters are sloped the wrong way? Everything's sloping back to the corner where it should be the high point.
Yeah.
So you see that all the time. But yeah, that's a lot of different things that go into those gutters. A lot
Yep.
of different ways they can be messed up, other than just things being in them. There's a lot of other problems.
Yes. So don't discount some things because they sound like easy repairs. It's just like the drywall thing. I went into that drywall repair thing. Oh, I'm going to be in and out in 2 hours. 4 hours later, I'm like, I think I'm ready to.
And you
let
still
everything
got to
sit.
go back.
I still have to go back for
and spend
the
at least
next,
that much again. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's like, I hate to break it to you, Mr. Homeowner, but there's a reason why we make these recommendations with.
What's that thing over there on the roof?
Oh, that actually, I don't know how it came off or why it's there, but there's a piece of it's the I don't know, it's the vinyl trim that goes around that
Around that
gable vent
I see.
over
I
to the
see.
right.
I see. Yep.
I don't know why it was there. I don't know if it got blown off or something. Who knows? It's just, that house is quite an adventure. But that leads us to this year's fall maintenance checklist, and that's why always, I guess you could say, it's the number one thing I would think most people think about when it's time to do home maintenance. Here on the Home Pros Radio Show, we like to talk about the fall and the spring. Those change of seasons are the best times to do a lot of things around the house, like look in the attic and take a peek in your crawl space and do the things that you don't do every day. And one of those maintenance items we think about in the fall all the time is cleaning the gutters. So that's why I have it number one on our fall maintenance checklist this year.
Uh-oh.
So there it is.
Clean and re-level.
That is it. Clean and re-level the gutters. How about, there we go.
Absolutely.
So that's always important. And you got to make sure those gutters are working properly, because if they're not, you can have what this guy's having.
Yeah.
I had one neighbor of mine who had some mold issues in her bedroom, in her baby's bedroom. It was just splotchy mold growing on the drywall.
Yeah.
On the ceiling. And she was like, I don't understand what's happening. This is a ranch home. We don't have any plumbing in the attic.
Right.
Why do I have this happening? And I got up on the roof and found that their gutters were just completely full of stuff. And it was a science project up there.
And I don't know how many times we've said no gutters is better,
better
than
than-
bad
yeah,
gutters. Or,
exactly.
Or done wrong or full or clogged or whatever.
Yeah, so she basically had a moat that was around
Yeah.
the outside of the house, and in this particular side, what was happening is that moisture was working its way up through the eave vents,
Yes.
and then just
Yeah.
dampening.
And it will continue
attic.
to do it if there's water constantly
Yeah.
in there. So, yeah.
Some other items that we have on our maintenance checklist, fall maintenance checklist: trim your trees and bushes away from your house. That'll certainly help with gutters.
That ties right into the previous one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's always a good idea to do that. Just let your house breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
so-
like those leaves sat on that roof and just held the water against it, the trees and bushes sitting against your siding or on
Yes.
the roof or do the exact same thing. It just holds that moisture in and it just wicks
Yep.
into the house is what it does.
And allow the sun to get to your portions of the house anytime you can get it. Like I was on a house this morning when I was walking the roof. I noticed this one whole side, the whole front side of the roof, was just baked on. I mean, it was the shingles were brittle, the asphalt was worn,
Right.
and it's because it got nothing but sun all day long. And
Yeah.
if you go on the back side of the house, shingles were flexible. They're actually standing the test of time a lot better. But it's sometimes too much sun or too little sun can create issues.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
make sure your house can breathe, get fresh air. Check for peeling paint.
Yeah. That was always there.
It's always there. It's there in the spring too. It's one of those things that every homeowner should really keep an eye on, because that can really sneak up on you. We'll talk about that some more this month. Another item on there: maintain your deck. This is a good time to check for loose boards, anything that's actually any boards that are cupping or
Yes.
bowing.
And-
go ahead and take them off.
And I'm going to go
replace
back to the leaf since we saw the leaves on the roof.
Yeah.
The same thing happens on decks. I see people that, their back deck has trees all over and they fall and they
don't blow
maybe
up.
they never use their deck. They never go out there. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it, but don't leave the leaves sitting there because it does the exact same thing. It wicks in and that wood rots.
Yes.
It will.
That's one of the things I don't like: carpeting on deck.
Oh,
decks.
same thing. No,
A lot of people
absolutely
like
not.
to put that turf out there and stuff.
It just
That's
holds the water. Every
yeah.
time Well, I shouldn't say every time. 9 times out of 10, when you take that carpeting, that turf up, there's soft spots underneath
Yep.
it. So
yeah, that's another one. Maintain your deck. I haven't been keeping up with
you
my
haven't
rings.
been doing your Sonic?
Yeah. Next one. Check concrete for cracks. This is a good time to actually
Yep.
keep an eye on those things now
about
that
to
we're
get
getting ready
cold.
to change temperatures.
Yep.
And then finally on this list for this week, store your yard equipment. That's pretty obvious. Make sure you empty the gas and,
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of times I've heard that. Like, I can't get my lawnmower to start. I can't get the weed eaters. Well, is there gas in the tank? Is this the first time?
Yeah.
When your first time using it in the spring? If it's old gas, not only is the gas not any good anymore, but it probably rotted some
other stuff.
stuff out.
Yeah, I actually use mine year round, so I don't have that same problem because I mulch my leaves because I've got all those big trees.
yes.
So I just mulch the leaves rather than raking them and pulling them up to the yard.
pull
I
'em
just
up with the
run
lawnmower.
over with the
There you go.
lawnmower. I mulch it
Chop
up, and
'em up.
I got more dirt. That way, maybe the dirt will cover the moss eventually. We'll see.
There you go. So that's our fall maintenance checklist for this week. I know we ran long on that segment, but these are things that are worth mentioning. And make sure you go around your house, check those things out. We'll probably revisit a couple of these in the next couple of weeks as we talk about these issues or I should say items and issues associated with them. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's the Home Pros Radio Show news desk. Some interesting stories. We've got another interesting house, a famous house that's on the market.
Famous house.
Yeah, we're also going to be talking about markets, real estate markets. Which real estate markets across the country are suffering the most with these high interest rates? We're going to find out where those are, and we'll let you guess, and we'll see if your guesses are correct after this commercial break on the Home Pros Radio Show. Thanks for watching the Home Pros Radio Show. Shane and I would love to know what you think of the show, so we'd like to invite you to leave us a review.
At the Home Pros Radio Show, it's our goal to keep homeowners entertained, inspired, and informed. So let us know how we're doing.
Your review helps us ensure that we're including the content you want to hear and that we're reaching out to more homeowners just like you.
So click on that review button and tell us what you think.
Your relationship with your home is an emotional one. Your home provides a sense of pride for you and your family. Through ongoing training, past experience, and current technology, RIC Home Inspections can provide you with the most reliable and accurate information available so you can enjoy the rewards of your home ownership. Call RIC Home Inspections at 235-5505 or visit us online at richomeinspections.com. That's 235-5505. RIC Home Inspections. Love where you live.
The Home Pros Radio Show is brought to you in part by Screen Mobile of the Piedmont. Established in 1982, Screen Mobile National has been around that long, and they're the nation's largest screen installation and repair company. They offer many different options for windows, screens, whether it's a corporate location or even a home residential location. They can bring their mobile units out to you and repair your screens, replace them, or even create a whole outdoor environment that you can use to keep the bugs out with their screens.
I've always been impressed with the tent one, the one
Yeah.
that keeps your siding from melting or your neighbor's siding from melting.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's saying tint with an I to help cool things down. Yeah, for those of you who are not in the
Not from
South.
South Carolina.
Exactly. And that'll protect, some of your outdoor building products like your siding from melting. That's a good point. I never
It's
even
not
thought
always a
about that.
grill. It can be a window.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So give Screen Mobile a call. There's a Screen Mobile in your area. You can visit them online at screenmobile.com. If you're in the upstate of South Carolina, call Screen Mobile of the Piedmont, 864-641-7476. And welcome back to the Home Pros Radio Show. I'm Tommy Donovan with RIC Home Inspections.
And I'm Shane Hips with Closing Contractor.
It's time for us to visit the news desk. All right, we have the newsroom, as you can hear in the background, is really working hard, bringing us all these stories. And here are
They typing it up.
Here are the stories off the wire this week. The first one.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, slow housing markets. Okay. I always like to start with more serious stories, then we get to the silly stuff.
Yeah.
So, real estate analysis from Redfin is indicating that higher mortgage rates are driving a nationwide price correction.
There
We
you
kind
go.
of expected that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What? I'm getting a shrugged shoulder look.
Not a shrug shoulder.
Duh. Look from my producer over there, my director. All right. Well, we knew this was going to happen. I kind of disagree with why it's happening in these markets, but anyway, let's just get to the article. They say the West Coast is cooling down the fastest.
West Coast is cooling down the fastest.
Yes, of the 100 most populous U.S. metro areas, here are the markets affected the most. I think I've got the top 5. Seattle, Washington cooled the most during February through August of this year when mortgage rates surged. Number 2, Las Vegas, Nevada, second on the list. Third is San Jose, California, and then let's see, fourth, San Diego, California. We have a tie for fifth. Sacramento, California, and Denver, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Tied for fifth. So 9 of the top 10 cities with this distinction were located in the western half of the country, including 4 within California. This is a lot like that other study that we did. What was that study? I wish it was I think it was the most expensive markets to live in, and I think like 9 of them were in California,
Right,
at least
right.
on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Northport, Florida was the only East Coast market near the top of the list.
Where's Northport, Florida?
I have no idea.
Me
I think it's near on the northern part of the state, near the port.
Near the port?
Yeah.
Somewhere near the, or is it near the, is it the north part of the port? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if the port's north or the state's north.
Yeah.
But either way.
Redfin based its rankings on calculations related to the year-over-year changes. This is the, I guess, the math or the process behind it.
I got you.
Year-over-year changes in home prices, price declines, housing inventory levels, pending home sales, sell-to-list ratios, and the share of homes that went off the market within 2 weeks. Mortgage rates have skyrocketed since January. A 30-year fixed-rate mortgage was 6.29% as of the week of this article. This
Okay.
is from the New York Post and Redfin. That's up by more than 3% compared to a year ago. Now, this is what I found interesting in some of these markets. The median home price in Seattle. I have a list of the top 20 here
Okay.
on my little cue card here, and the median home prices in each of these markets. So, let's look at these just for fun. All right, here, Northport, Florida was number 9 on the list. Everything else is on the West Coast.
Okay.
Let's see. We covered some the other markets of the top 10 were Phoenix, Oakland, and Tacoma, Washington. You get Austin, Texas, and then our neighbors in Raleigh, North Carolina, come out at number 12.
Okay.
So prices are dropping there. Cape Coral, Florida. Then we got another. This is Stockton, California, Portland, Oregon, Bakersfield, California, Jacksonville, Florida, Tampa, Florida, Orlando, Florida. Interesting.
So Florida kicks in there
Yep,
too.
towards the bottom of that top 20, and then Dallas, Texas. So I found some of this stuff interesting, like the average home price, the median home price in Seattle, Washington, is $774,000.
Yeah.
That's expensive
Yes, it is.
compared to what we did. That means like your average mortgage, your monthly mortgage payment is like around $4,400.
Yeah.
This blew me away. San Jose, California, the median home price there, $1.3 million.
This correction could be because the houses are overpriced to begin with.
And that is exactly what
Because
they're
it's funny how all the higher price markets are the ones that are is affecting the most.
and that's kind of what Redfin was saying is during things like the pandemic and stuff like that, you had a lot of folks going to those areas because they could live wherever they wanted.
Right.
There are a lot of these companies, a lot of these cities have housed or are homes to a lot of the tech companies.
Okay.
So a lot of these folks working from home. A lot of people moved to these places because they could work from home and things
Gotcha.
like that. So a lot of the folks who listen to our podcasts out there in California are in these markets. So that's what they're saying. I feel your pain, folks. San Diego, California, median home price $800,000. So that's a lot.
It is.
I don't know how they do it. So those are some of the markets that you want to keep an eye out on. If you're getting these are the things you need to think of too. If you're like getting a job interview or you have a job offer,
Right.
Hey, I could move to there's a gentleman I was inspecting for yesterday who was like, he moved here from Memphis, Tennessee, and this was funny because I was like, so is Memphis as dangerous as it sounds like it is on the news? He goes, it's worse.
Oh,
I was
really?
like, seriously? And he told me some really interesting stories that we don't have time to share today. But he was actually saying he moved here. I said, well, what brought you here? It was an opportunity that he had working in the healthcare business industry. And he says, the only thing that I wish I would have looked at more carefully was he had a couple of offers. One was here and another one, a potential place he could have moved to was Denver, Colorado. I should have whipped this out and shared with him that, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Colorado, Denver. Didn't I say Denver? Yeah,
Yeah,
Denver's
it's
tied
in
for
the
fifth
tie
on
for
this
five.
list. So, I mean, if you think you've got a salary that's comparable, the next thing you want to look at is your cost of living.
Right.
And that could, if
could
you're
make a
spending
big
less,
difference.
you have more in your pocket.
You could be in poverty in one place and be living like a king in the other.
Yeah, and it's the same reason why we'll see some people move from these markets to Greenville, South Carolina, and be like, hey, I can pay cash for this.
Yeah.
So
That's the norm here. People from out of town moving here and pay cash.
Yep.
And have twice the house that they had wherever they came from.
Yeah.
Free and clear.
So some things to think about when you're switching markets. What else do we have on our list this week? We've got here's a pretty house.
Sideways.
This home goes sideways. Now we're going to go down to Panama.
Oh Lord. Panama, the country Panama, right?
Yeah. So
Central America.
I have a little video here that I'm playing. Some audio. I should have queued this up. We're going to Panama. Woo! This was probably like the first heavy metal song or a rock and roll song as a kid that I was like, this song is amazing.
Amazing.
Because I was like, when this song came out, I was at the age, I don't know, I was a self-righteous kid in Catholic school. It was like, rock and roll, this is evil. But then I heard this and I was like, this is pretty good.
I like this.
So yeah, Panama. So we're now enough of our Van Halen. We're gonna go to Panama. The unveiling of a futuristic luxury model home on Panama's Caribbean coast, which we have pictured behind me on our big screen. It tanked.
It tanked.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
It started sinking.
Oh.
See how it's built on a pier? It's a really. You know what that reminds me of? What? I know what my wife is going to say. What are you going to say?
Is it the Hamburglar?
Yeah. Not the Hamburglar.
What was
It was Mayor McCheese. Remember
Okay.
Mayor McCheese?
I know what you're talking about now, yes.
That thing used to, even as a kid, that thing would just freak me out. I need to make a note of that. Mayor McCheese and his little thing, you'd climb up into it.
Yeah.
And even as a kid, I could barely fit in it.
Oh, I wouldn't have been able to get into it. At least you could get in it.
You get
I never saw what
claustrophobic
the
in
inside
that
of
thing.
Mayor McCheese looked like.
Holy crap, dude. So the Mayor McCheese house. That's what this thing, for those of you listening to the podcast, that's what this house looks like. So this house was built on a pier, and it tanked Thursday last week when the Seapod Echo prototype perched above the water on a column slumped onto an adjacent dock. So they were like showing it off. It was like their big grand open house. Check this out. You could have one of these. Bloop, 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 bloop. Developer Ocean Builders said in a statement that the sleek white home began to destabilize, that's how they put it, at the end of the launch event. It said no one was injured and the cause was being investigated. It's probably because you built it on a pier. The home that is reminiscent of a spaceship sits well above the water, features expansive views from a row of windows. It's kind of cool, really.
It is.
I mean, we covered a house that was similar to this. I can't remember where it was. It was one of those things you could take an elevator up, and it was a roundhouse that was elevated.
Yeah.
I don't know. Developers had planned to begin offering the homes for sale next year, touting them as friendly to the environment and the economy. So much so that it wants to be a part of the environment.
So this
It
is a
started
modular
sinking.
home, huh?
Yeah, pretty
So you
much.
just get it out there and they put it on your whatever foundation you have ready for it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So-
I don't know. I like a wider base if I'm gonna live in it. I don't want it wide at the top and narrow at the base.
Yeah, you want a good foundation. That is the text or the textbook rule when building a home.
Unless it's like a top and it's spinning real fast all the time, and I wouldn't want that either. So I think we just need to widen the base a little bit. Be the best bet.
Maybe maybe it needs to.
Spin.
Maybe the house needs to look more like Grimace.
Yeah,
fat on
if
the
it
bottom
looked more
and
like
skinny at the
Grimace
top.
and less like Mayor McCheese, we'd probably be better off.
There you go. All right, and okay, right. Here's our next story. Don't switch it yet. all right?
Okay.
Don't switch the screen
okay,
then
okay,
you'll
okay.
get the answer.
Okay.
This is your audio cue. Can you tell me what house? We got a new house on the market.
Okay.
It's from this famous show. Does this ring any bells? I tell you what, this theme song.
How old is this show?
Wow, that's a good question. I was going to say this theme song for this show is classic because it puts you right into that time frame when you hear it.
I don't know what show.
The show is new. It's only been around for maybe 4 or 5 years.
Oh, like Stranger Things? or
That's
something?
exactly right.
Oh.
You got it correct.
Charlie would have
ladies
been
and
mad at me if I
gentlemen.
didn't get that right.
Yeah, Stranger Things. So yeah, don't you just hear that and it brings you back to the 1980s?
Yeah.
So brilliant. So yeah, Stranger Things. In Fayetteville, Georgia, the house that was used as a set in the Netflix show Stranger Things is looking for a new owner. It's the buyer's house.
Okay.
So the buyer's house is looking for buyers,
Yes.
if you will.
I don't
So
even know who the buyers were.
The buyers were the folks that lived in the house. That's
Which one? What's
that
give
was
me a first name.
Winona Ryder's character,
Okay.
the mom,
Okay.
and she was living there with her son and with her 2 sons.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I watched about 4 episodes of the first season and I was done.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a sci-fi person.
Yeah.
I liked the storyline, but I didn't like once the upside down or whatever underworld or whatever that
It was a little confusing at points.
it lost me. I'm like, okay, I'm not a sci-fi person. I had to back out of it. But I really liked the storyline up until that happened. So I didn't enjoy
That
very
was
much of it.
was my connection with my kids. We watched. I think it was weird. I didn't realize until season 4 came out. I didn't realize how much of that series I had watched.
Right.
Because when I went back to watch the refresher versions,
Uh-huh.
I was thinking, there's no way I've watched 3 seasons of this. There's no way. I'm too
Right.
busy.
Mhm.
But then when I watched the refreshers to get you set for season 4, I was like, oh, I remember all this. I remember this mall. I remember this scene.
Yeah.
So I even took the kids down to some of the places where the scenes were shot. Like we snuck into the mall where they shot the
Was it
mall-
all in
yeah,
Georgia?
well, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
a lot of it, in Georgia.
I got you.
And-
I attempted. I
That's
attempted
also
it
the
with
same
Charlie.
mall, by the way, where they shot Wonder Woman.
Uh-oh.
The mall scene at the beginning of Wonder Woman.
Which Wonder Woman? The movie that came out a few years ago?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, the second movie, Wonder Woman 1984, which, by the way, was horrible. Oh, sorry, should I not have said that? Is that not PC? God, that movie was bad. Wasn't it, audience? No. All right, so anyway. All right, so the listing agent, Michael Smith with eXp Realty, told the New York Post, my phone has been blowing up ever since this house hit the market.
Okay.
It's 1,800 square feet, 1846 to be exact, 100 years old, listed for $300,000.
Okay.
He's received calls from both buyers and fans looking to come visit. 7 siblings selling the property are used to the attention of this house. They said since the show was aired, the owners had they had to put a sign in the driveway saying, "Hey, private property."
So keep out, people.
And it's funny because even the listing agent put that in the listing so people know this is what you're getting with this house.
Right.
because we love covering. I like covering these stories, these houses.
Right.
Because whenever I go to different towns, I like to find a lot of this stuff, especially when I go to cities.
I wonder if he was required, because there's the disclosures.
That's a good point.
I wonder if but I wouldn't think that would be something you would have to disclose, but it could be.
Yeah.
I mean,
doing it as a courtesy.
Yeah. I don't know if you have to disclose that people like pulling up in your driveway all the time. I don't know how that works.
That would be weird.
I know it would be a little.
I guess that kind of rules out your opportunity to go out and barbecue naked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Y'all go away. So apparently the house has Airbnb potential. That's what they're kind of marketing it as. But they also say it needs about $50,000 to $100,000 worth of work in order to get it there.
Okay.
It's just the listing agent says the kids selling the home don't have the capacity to do that work. There are 7 kids that were all raised in the house.
I got you.
And they were saying how their mom actually used it as kind of a I don't know if you'd call it a halfway house, but
Okay.
for people that needed some place to stay until they found someplace better.
Yeah.
She used to help people out and stayed there.
Okay.
It was in 2015 where the family was approached by the production team of Stranger Things.
So is Stranger Things done now,
No, they just released season 4.
or did the buyer family? Not
Oh, that's
the
a good
buyers.
question.
Did
Are
the
they
buyers
done with
ni-
this
Did they
house?
move in the last
I don't
season or
know.
something?
I
Maybe
may-
they moved to the underworld.
Honestly,
What's it called? The upside down.
Upside down.
Upside down. Yeah, okay.
Oh, nether
Maybe they moved to the upside down.
So yeah, no, I made it through. I think my issue with the newest season of Stranger Things is the episodes are like twice as long.
Oh, so
They're
it's like watching a
hour.
movie
I was
every
like,
time.
"Ugh, I don't have time for this. But anyway, but yeah, so that's it. That wraps up our news desk for this week on the Home Pros Radio Show. Yeah, we have more photos to share. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. It looks like it's on some acreage too.
Oh,
We have an
yeah, that's
overhead
nice.
shot. It's pretty
I
cool.
like it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a long driveway to have strangers come down. All right, what did we learn on the show
Gentlemen,
today?
let's broaden our minds.
Well, we learned that the Stranger Things house is available if you want to go buy it and you're into hosting a lot of visitors. We also learned that there are markets that you might want to steer away from if you're looking to move. You might lose money if you move to some of these West Coast cities
Yes.
that are now stabilizing in the high interest rate market that we have. We talked about our fall maintenance checklist, things on that list. Repair some things, issues with your deck, maybe replace some wood, maybe refinish it.
Absolutely.
We've got concrete cracks to seal. Look for those. Any peeling paint on your trim. Clear leaves and trees away from the house. We got our sonic ring. There we
There
go.
you go.
We got that. And most importantly, gutters. Moisture, we talk about all the time, how to wreak havoc on your house. So clean out those gutters and protect your home from moisture. We also learned that there's always a first time for everything.
Yes.
That's
yes,
actually-
absolutely. Never say never.
When I went through that ceiling, I was like, oh, my God. I was so proud that I had never done that. And then the daughter goes, well, there's the first time for everything. I was like, thank you very much. So she taught me our lesson for this week.
Yes.
I do like drywall. Shane likes simple
Yeah.
jobs that
Simple fixes,
don't take
yes.
return trips like drywall does. And Shane also likes driving with his headlights off. So we learned that, too.
I don't even remember that.
You were talking about how it's dark when you leave for work.
Oh, okay, I got you. I was like, I don't even remember that. Okay.
So that's what we learned on the show today. We've got a photo from the field to share for next week. There's one. It's a nice little photo of something fun. When I was getting ready to climb into a crawl space the other day, and I thought I'd share that. And we'll talk about that next week on the Home Pros Radio Show.
Yeah, I don't even know. I can't tell what it is. I'm going to have to zoom in on this one.
That's it. That does it for this week. Make sure you leave your comments, questions, and any other things you want to leave for us on our social media or email them to us, ask@homeprosradio.com, or you can call us.
Call the
phone
number that we haven't
even
given you all
out
day.
today. What is that?
It's 248-466-3776.
Also, like, follow, and share at all of our social media outlets. Whatever you like to be, we're on it too. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's at Home Pros Radios where you can find us at all those places. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week on the Home Pros Radio Show.
Thank you for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show. If you have a question for the Home Pros, visit us online at homeprosradio.com, where you can also catch our podcast episodes and learn more about the topics and guests we bring to you each week. The Home Pros Radio Show is made possible by Prime Lending, RIC Home Inspections, Closing Contractor, Radon Recon, and Carolina Heating Service. If you are a trusted service provider in our area and would like to contribute to the show, send us a message through our Contact Us page at homeprosradio.com. Once again, thanks for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show.